Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the close-up. Boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop. It is, I believe it's Wednesday, I don't know, 11th. Let's go with that. And I decided to start today up in the room with Belle and her little whistles because I know they're super cute. And it seemed like a good way to start today to shake things up a little bit. So we're just chilling out though. Foghorn was napping by herself up here on the beanbag chair. She is the kitten in Kitten Academy right now. Kitten Academy. Um, and I just cleaned up her little eye goobers, but it still kind of looks like she has them. Also, she's nervous now. She doesn't want me to touch her because she's afraid, whoop, I'm going to clean her some more. Well, I know, but you got to get over that, kiddo. So much floof on this one. She's too cute. She really blends into that blanket, doesn't she? Also, here we have Klaxon and Beep. Beep has apparently climbed into my lap because she is just an early starter on being a lap cat and everything else. Beep is still the only one that will willingly eat a tiny bit of solid food, although they are all still preferring to nurse, including Beep. Beep's also the first one to jump up and run over to me every time I come into the room. And then Klaxon. Hi, Klax. Oh, Beep, you are too cute. You really steal this show lately, don't you? Yes, you do. Oh, you're gonna fall. Okay. Hi, Beeper. So, not much to talk about. Nothing different actually from yesterday. Yesterday, I mentioned that Beep and Klaxon are getting adopted together. I think they're going to make a wonderful pair of sisters forever, and just a great range of the little personalities too. It's so fun to have kittens that already are showing that they're going to be individuals. Yet they love each other quite a bit, so I think they're going to do. Whoa! Oh my goodness! Wow! I just flipped that camera. I don't know what happened there. I dropped it on accident. Uh, anyway, already showing just how wonderful they're going to be together. I think it's going to be just great for them. And Foggy, hi, that was a cute little yawn there. They've all been adopted actually. Right now, technically speaking, at the Kitten Academy, we don't have any more kittens or mom cats that are up for adoption because they all have approved adopters. But as I've said a million times, don't let that stop you from putting in an application. A lot of times these things will fall through. These guys still have a couple of months before their adopters are going to be ready to pick them up. And anything can happen in that time. So if you are interested in adopting one of these kittens or any future kitten, you can still apply on our website, which is kitten.academy. And you can be pre-approved for a future kitten, which has definitely helped some people in the past get kittens quick. So there you have it. Yeah, actually, that reminds me, just to fill up a little bit of time here, since I don't have any real news. I've been thinking a little bit about spending some of this time with you guys to talk about things that I think are helpful to know or important to know, or just things that are on my mind. And, I don't want to get too philosophical or anything either, but first off, if you guys have suggestions for topics that you think I can cover, in between talking about the news and the kittens, you should let me know. And you can either let me know by sort of tweeting it at us or email headmaster@kitten.academy. And I know our minion Lisa will compile a good list, and maybe I can start using that. But this morning, there was a conversation on our Discord that I got a little bit involved in, and I sort of wanted to talk to you guys, just mention about it. Um, the conversation started talking about black cats and their adoptions and stuff, and um, you know, I the only actual studies and the only actual numbers that I've seen show that black cats actually aren't any less adoptable than any other cat. They get adopted exactly as much. It's just there's a lot more of them, so people that work at shelters, they tend to have more black cats around, and therefore they tend to think they have the perception that they don't get adopted as easily. So, not to start a debate, I think that if you have a study or real hard numbers that show otherwise, I'd be interested to hear about it. But I think that the numbers show that the stigma that people tend to say is around black cats does not exist. It's just made up, and that was one interesting thing that we were talking about. But this morning, when we were talking about it, that led into a different discussion about getting kittens adopted in general. And something that comes up for us all the time when we have, especially like mom cats that are hard to get adopted, like take Brooke, for example, or or any kitten that stays here a little bit longer. And we almost always get somebody that really means well that will say, well, I can't adopt that cat from you, but let me pay the adoption fee so that it'll be easier for you to find an adopter because then they don't have to worry about the adoption fee. I think that is such a nice thing for somebody to say that they want to do it. I think it's very generous, and it really goes to show how our fans are just some of the greatest, most wonderful, caring people in the world, and I really greatly appreciate it. But we always have to say no to those people, and I think we do it for a good reason, which is that it's important to remember that cats and kittens, they have medical expenses, they have food expenses. They aren't insignificant in the amount of monetary concern that goes into raising a kitten. And I think that the adoption fee is sort of the least of that. So we are always concerned that if the difference between the adoption fee and no adoption fee is what makes the difference in being able to adopt a cat, we're always concerned that then that person just won't have the resources to continue to care for that cat's ongoing care, which is why we don't go down that road of the free adoption ever. And it's certainly not because we're looking for money either, because none of that adoption fee goes to us. It all goes to the Danbury Animal Welfare Society, and they've been running a shelter for 45 years. So goodness knows it's valuable to them. So anyway, I just wanted to make that point because I know we always get well-meaning people that want to offer to pay somebody else's adoption fee, and I think it is super, super sweet, but not something that we typically permit then in the end. If you guys have those sorts of concerns and stuff, I think there's other ways that you can sort of make that proposition work, though. Um, there's always room to send something in for endowments or, gift cards or who knows. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. That was just something that was on my mind this morning that I wanted to bring up for no particular reason. There was another related point that came up during the conversation this morning, and it was about some shelters that won't adopt out black cats around Halloween. And I don't want to have any conversation about what they think their reasons are. That's not something that we need to discuss. Our no sads policy, we don't like to even really think about that stuff too much. But I'll tell you my take on that, not adopting black cats around Halloween. I think, and I'm first off, I need to say I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I know we get lots of people that watch us that work for various animal shelters, and some of them might even have that policy of not adopting black cats around Halloween. If you do, I'm going to try not to be too harsh. I want to encourage you guys to think about what that means. In what I'm saying is, if you're a cat shelter and you refuse to adopt a black cat out around Halloween, I think what you're really saying is that your adoption screening process is not that great. Because I feel like you should have that same level of concern for bad people all year round. There's no rule. If it's true, if it's even true, and I'm skeptical that it's even true that that is a particular concern. um, I feel like that same level of screening, that same level of care, I think you should find a way to screen every applicant all year round to make sure that they're all good adopters all the time, and that you shouldn't have to exercise extra care at Halloween because you exercise that level of care all the time. Now, maybe I live in an ivory tower. I'm certainly willing to admit that what I'm talking about is the way I think things should be, right? I'm saying this is how the world should operate, is we should always be good enough at picking our cat adopters that it's not even a worry. And I don't know if that's the real world or not. So I want to say, though, that that's the way I feel like the real world should be. And that's it. Yeah. So that does go to the point, though. I know that the application for our kittens on our website, it seems very, very extreme. It goes into a lot of detail about a lot of things. But those applications, they're read by human beings, and we are all sort of understanding human beings. And I know if there's stuff on the application that just, you can't figure it out or you can't fill it out right or whatever, do your best. I think that a lot of times we're willing to consider circumstance, and I say we, I don't mean we, I mean DAWs, because we don't read those applications either. Danbury Animal Welfare Society does. But I think that they're willing to consider circumstances like that. I always use the example of one of the things that it asks, I think it asks for on the application. I haven't looked at it in a little while, and DJ is the one that helped put it together for DAWs, not me. But I think it asks for things like to have your neighbors as recommendations. And we don't even know our neighbors. We could find somebody to say, we think these guys would be good adopters, and we would, but they wouldn't be our neighbors. And I think that Dawes would probably understand that. Yeah, I think home visits are a great thing for people to do if they have those kinds of resources. And, I do think there's some ways that the application process could be even stricter. Um, and obviously there's a balance there. There's reasons that you want to try to find the right balance. Anyway, I've gone way off. And hey, look at this. We're at 15 minutes already. We got to go see some other kittens. These guys are really cute, though. If you want to keep watching this group of kittens, they should be on the regular Kitten Academy live stream, and I hope you can tune into that. Keep watching them. But let's go find some other kittens. Belle, I hardly even said hi to you, but don't worry. We're going to come hang out later on. Promise. Okay. I'll tell you, if I'm gonna start talking to you guys about random stuff like that, I need to plan it a little bit better so that I don't just ramble and then trail off like that, right? I need to work it out and figure out what I'm gonna say in advance a little bit better. But anyway, I think I said a couple things it's worth thinking about. Here's our little Brooke having a big old purr. Let's see if you can hear it. don't know if you can hear it, but she's got a big purr going, and she's sitting in her favorite bed, and she's just having a good time, and her eye is healing up very well. Let's see if she'll open it if I stop petting her here. Well, just a little bit. It's healing up pretty good. It's still, you can still see that she's got a little bit of cloudy spot where she had her scratch, but it's healing. And every day it's getting much, much better, so I feel very good about that. We're going to move right along. Here's Loganberry. There's Mr. Ari. Yeah, I see you guys discussing it, and I think that's sort of the point that I was trying to make about the fact that, I quote live in an ivory tower, is just that, there is a way I feel like things should be, and I know real world circumstances mean that things can't always work that way. So it is what it is, but I wanted to sort of just get the idea out there, though. So here's our little putter, beautiful putter. And here's Dabble. Oh, and you guys will notice they're eating some dry food, which they have never had before. They've never had access to dry food here. But I think yesterday I mentioned, or the day before, that I was a little bit concerned about Monkey's weight. Because I think he had a stomach bug, and it maybe made him lose a little bit of weight. And I thought, well, if they had some dry food, maybe they'd eat a little bit better, a little bit more, put on a little bit of that weight. And so last night I broke out the Dr. Elsey's high protein dry food. It is apparently a high protein, low carb dry food. There are very few options out there that are actually high protein and low carb. There's plenty of options out there that are grain free, but grain-free does not always mean low carb. So Dr. Elsey's is supposed to be very good that way. And all I can say for it so far is that they are crazy about it. I put out a plate of it last night, and they went nuts. All of them went nuts for it, including Mom. Tinker just loves it. In fact, this is their dinner from last night. It's still out here because they're hardly touching the wet food now that they have the dry food to eat. And I'm happy to report Monkey has actually put back on a ton of the weight. A surprising amount. So he's doing just fine. It seems like it might be Trifle's turn, though, because Trifle didn't put on a ton of weight yesterday, but also not down at all. So we're just going to keep monitoring them on a daily basis. There might be a little stomach bug that's going around the room. It happens. No big deal. So they're crazy about that Dr. Elsey's dry food, though. Wow. I almost regret putting it out now because it's going to be hard to get them to eat their regular wet food anymore. But we can transition them back once we know that everybody's feeling good. I know for sure that our vet would probably prefer them to be on the wet food to the dry food, even all else being the same. And it makes sense. Speaking of weight gain, this one, our Dabble, she's got no problems whatsoever. In fact, I'm amazed at how big she is all of the time. It's not just floof there. She is definitely in the lead weight-wise and has been pretty consistently in the lead the whole time. There's our putter. There's our Trifle running around. Where's Mom? Oh, there she is. Let's go see her. Up here taking a little nap on the cat tree. Hey, sweetie bean. You look very calm. It's good. Loganberry was in here hanging out with her kittens for quite a while this morning, and she didn't bother with him at all, which is good. Oh, yeah, here, I'll show you the Dr. Elsey's just because the bag's right here, and I know a lot of people are going to be asking about it. Let's see. Hang on, I got it right here. It is Dr. Elsey's Clean Protein, and it was sent to us by Pat, who did all the research for us to check it out. There's the Dr. Elsie's. Um, so Pat did all the research on that and sent it to us to try out. And I know they are really digging it so far. And it's not 95% protein, it's 95% of the protein is animal based. But it does say on the back it is 59% protein, which is very high. And just like any other food, they don't say specifically what percentage is carbs. They do say grain free, which we know doesn't mean carb free. There's definitely some carbs in there. Also, I don't know a whole lot about plants, but I do notice that the first sort of plant carb ingredient on their ingredient list is flax seed. And I would have thought that flax seed counted as a grain, but I guess I don't really know. Well, I'm going to have to cut this short unexpectedly because we've got somebody at the front door, and it may be the gardener that I want to help us clean up. So I'll talk to you guys about that later. Meanwhile, thanks for tuning in. Check out the regular Kitten Academy live stream, and we'll see you later.